What if a photograph could capture more than just light? What if it could trap sound itself, preserving voices from over a century ago? This isn't science fiction. It's the terrifying reality that two researchers discovered when they restored a mysterious camera from 1914. Picture this: a desolate English manor in the autumn of 1914. The Great War has just begun, and the world teeters on the edge of chaos. Inside Greystone Manor, a group of paranormal investigators from the Society for Psychical Research has gathered for what they believe will be a routine seance. But this isn't ordinary. They've brought with them an experimental camera, a device designed by the eccentric inventor, Professor Aldrich Whitmore. This camera promises to capture more than mere images. It claims to record the very essence of spiritual manifestations. The investigators arrange themselves around an ornate mahogany table, their faces illuminated by flickering candles. The camera sits mounted on a brass tripod, its unusual crystalline lens gleaming in the dim light. As they begin their ritual, calling out to the spirits beyond the veil, something responds. The camera's mechanism activates with a sharp click, and immediately, a faint, otherworldly sound fills the room, a sound that chills every person present to their core. Panicked, the investigators quickly seal the camera in a wooden box, along with a hastily scrawled warning note. They vow never to speak of what transpired that night. The camera disappears into the archives of the Society, forgotten for over a century, until a modern restoration effort brings it back into the light. Dr. Margaret Holloway had spent 15 years as head archivist at the Institute for Historical Preservation, but she'd never encountered anything quite like this. While conducting a routine inventory of a recently donated collection from the defunct Society for Psychical Research, she discovered a peculiar wooden box tucked away in the deepest corner of the storage facility. The box was sealed with wax and bound with twine that had long since yellowed with age. Attached to it was a note written in faded ink. Warning, do not open under any circumstances. The contents of this device have captured something that should remain undisturbed. H. Blackwood, Society for Psychical Research, November 1914. Margaret's curiosity was immediately piqued. As a historian, she understood the importance of preserving and studying artifacts, regardless of any superstitious warnings attached to them. She carefully photographed the box and its warning before carrying it to her office. She knew she needed expert help with this unusual find, so she contacted Dr. James Patterson, a renowned technician who specialized in restoring antique photographic equipment and media. James had worked with everything from daguerreotypes to early motion picture cameras, and if anyone could safely examine this mysterious device, it would be him. When James arrived at the Institute the following morning, Margaret showed him the sealed box. His eyes immediately lit up with professional interest. You know, Margaret, I've heard rumors about experimental cameras from that era. Some inventors were trying to capture more than just light. They wanted to record what they called psychic impressions. Together, they decided to open the box, driven by their shared commitment to historical preservation and scientific understanding. James carefully broke the century-old seal and lifted the lid. Inside, nestled in faded velvet, lay the most unusual camera either of them had ever seen. Its brass body was covered in strange engravings, and instead of a normal lens, it featured a large, multifaceted crystal that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. This isn't like any camera I've seen from that period, James murmured, running his fingers along the intricate mechanisms. Look at these markings. They're not decorative. They're functional, part of some kind of resonance chamber. Margaret leaned closer, studying the device. The craftsmanship is extraordinary, but what's this compartment here? James carefully opened a hidden panel in the camera's back. Instead of finding a photographic plate or film, they discovered something entirely unexpected. A crystalline object about the size of a playing card, perfectly smooth and transparent, but with what appeared to be microscopic patterns etched throughout its surface. "This isn't a photograph at all," James said, his voice filled with wonder. "At least, not in any conventional sense. These patterns, they look almost like grooves, similar to what you would find on a phonograph record, but incredibly complex." Margaret felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying this thing recorded sound?" "I think it recorded more than that," James replied, carefully lifting the crystal to examine it under a magnifying glass. "This appears to be some kind of three-dimensional acoustic recording. The patterns go all the way through the crystal, not just on the surface. It's as if the sound waves themselves shaped the material as they passed through it." The restoration process took weeks. James had to construct custom equipment to safely examine the crystal without damaging it. Using a precision laser scanner typically used in geological surveys, he mapped every microscopic detail of the crystal's internal structure. "The complexity is staggering," he explained to Margaret as they studied the three-dimensional models on his computer screen. "There are layers upon layers of acoustic information encoded in this thing. It's like a symphony frozen in crystal." The next challenge was translating these patterns back into sound. James designed a specialized scanning system that could trace the microscopic grooves using a diamond-tip stylus connected to extremely sensitive vibration sensors. The process was painstakingly slow. Each minute of recorded material took hours to decode. Finally, after 3 weeks of careful work, James was ready to attempt the first playback. Margaret joined him in his laboratory as he initiated the scanning process. They both held their breath as the first sounds emerged from the speakers, faint, crackling, and barely audible, but unmistakably human voices from over a century ago. The audio quality was poor, filled with static and distortion, but gradually, James was able to clean and enhance the recording using modern digital restoration techniques. What emerged was a clear window into that fateful night in 1914. They heard the mundane sounds first: chairs scraping against wooden floors, the rustle of clothing, someone clearing their throat. And then came the voices, educated British accents discussing the evening's preparations. "The recording equipment appears to be functioning properly, Edmund," came a woman's voice, clear and authoritative. "Excellent, Victoria," replied a man's voice. "Professor Whitmore assured me this device would capture any spiritual manifestations with unprecedented clarity. If the spirits wish to communicate tonight, we shall have definitive proof." Margaret and James exchanged glances. These had to be the original investigators, Victoria Ashford and Edmund Blackwood, prominent members of the Society for Psychical Research. The conversation continued as they prepared for the seance, discussing the arrangement of the room, the positioning of the camera, and their hopes for making contact with the beyond. The atmosphere on the recording was calm, professional, almost academic. These weren't superstitious charlatans. They were serious researchers applying scientific methodology to paranormal investigation. Approximately 20 minutes into the recording, the atmosphere changed dramatically. A door burst open, and hurried footsteps echoed across the room. "Victoria! Edmund!" came a new voice. Panicked, breathless. "You must stop immediately! The experiment has gone wrong!" "Professor Whitmore?" Victoria's voice carried surprise and concern. "What do you mean?" "We've barely begun." "The resonance chamber, it's created an unstable field," Professor Whitmore continued urgently. "The crystal isn't just recording. It's acting as a conductor, a bridge between dimensions. We've opened something that cannot be easily closed." Edmund's voice took on a note of alarm. What are you talking about? This is merely a documentation device. No, you don't understand. Whitmore's voice cracked with fear. I discovered too late. The crystal formation isn't natural. It's grown, cultivated using techniques I found in texts that should never have been translated. The device doesn't just record spiritual energy, it amplifies and focuses it. The conversation revealed a conflict Margaret and James hadn't expected. What they had assumed was a simple seance was actually something far more dangerous, an experiment in interdimensional communication that had apparently spiraled out of control. As they listened further, the normal background sounds of the room began to change. The crackling of the fire faded, replaced by an ominous silence. Then, slowly, a new sound emerged, a low, rhythmic humming that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The hum wasn't mechanical. It had an organic quality, almost like a massive heartbeat. The frequency was so low it was felt as much as heard, and even through the century-old recording, Margaret and James could feel it resonating in their chests. The voices of the investigators became increasingly agitated. "What is that sound?" Victoria demanded. "The dimensional barrier is thinning," Whitmore replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "Something is trying to come through. We must destroy the crystal before—" His words were cut off as the humming intensified, drowning out their voices. The sound grew deeper, more complex, developing harmonic overtones that created an almost musical quality, though it was unlike any music either Margaret or James had ever heard. The humming reached a crescendo that was almost unbearable to listen to, even through the speakers in James's laboratory. Then, abruptly, it stopped, leaving behind a silence so complete it was somehow more terrifying than the sound that had preceded it. Into the silence came something new, a series of distinct, rhythmic sounds, clicks, pops, and what could only be described as guttural vocalizations. The pattern was clearly deliberate, purposeful, but unlike any human language. "James," Margaret said, her voice tight with tension, "run a spectral analysis on those sounds. There's a pattern there." James quickly isolated the strange vocalizations and ran them through pattern recognition software. What they discovered sent chills down both their spines. The clicks and pops weren't random. They followed the precise rhythm and spacing of International Morse code, though using sounds no human throat could produce. Working together, they painstakingly translated the message, each click and pop corresponding to dots and dashes, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, slash, dash, dot, 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 kai, dot, dash, 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 dot, 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 dash, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dash, dot, 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 dash, We are here. The message was simple, consisting of just 3 words, but its implications were staggering. Margaret and James stared at the translation in stunned silence. It has to be a hoax, Margaret finally said, though her voice lacked conviction. Someone added this to the recording later, but James was already shaking his head. Margaret, look at the spectral analysis. This isn't an external sound that was recorded. The pattern is embedded in the crystal's structure itself. It's not on the recording. It is the recording. The sound waves that created this message actually shaped the crystal as they passed through it. They ran additional tests using equipment that could analyze the molecular structure of the crystal. The results were impossible to explain conventionally. The areas where the message was encoded showed crystalline formations that could only have been created by the precise acoustic vibrations they had just heard. There was no way to fake this. No technology existed in 1914 that could have artificially created these molecular structures. For days, Margaret and James tried desperately to find rational explanations for what they had discovered. They consulted with experts in acoustics, crystallography, and even quantum physics. But no one could explain how sound waves from 1914 could have permanently altered the molecular structure of the crystal in such a precise, message-bearing pattern. The more they investigated, the more unsettling the truth became. Historical records showed that Victoria Ashford, Edmund Blackwood, and Professor Aldrich Whitmore had all disappeared without a trace in November 1914. The official report stated they had died in a fire that destroyed Greystone Manor, but no bodies were ever found. The fire had burned so intensely that even the stone foundations had cracked, and locals reported that the ground remained warm for months afterward. Most disturbing of all was what James discovered when he examined the crystal under electron microscopy. The molecular patterns weren't just shaped by sound waves. They were actively resonating, vibrating at frequencies too subtle to hear, but detectable by sensitive instruments. The crystal was still active, still broadcasting its message on wavelengths that human ears couldn't detect. As Margaret and James completed their documentation of the discovery, they faced a troubling realization. The 1914 seance at Greystone Manor hadn't been a failure. It had been a terrifying success. Something had indeed come through that night, and the camera hadn't just recorded its arrival. It had been permanently transformed by the encounter. The message, "We are here," wasn't a recording from the past. It was an ongoing transmission, a beacon that had been broadcasting for over a century, waiting for someone with the technology and expertise to finally decode it. The question that haunted both researchers was simple yet terrifying. If they were here in 1914 announcing their arrival through a crystalline medium that defied all known science, what did that mean for the world today? And perhaps more importantly, what had happened to Victoria Ashford, Edmund Blackwood, and Professor Whitmore when they encountered whatever had crossed over from the other side? What made everything even more unsettling was the discovery of similar crystals mentioned in other historical documents from the Society for Psychical Research. Margaret found references to at least 3 other experimental devices that had been created using Whitmore's techniques, all of which had mysteriously vanished during the chaos of World War I. If this crystal was still broadcasting after more than a century, what about the others? Were there more messages out there? More beacons calling across the void between dimensions? James became increasingly obsessed with the technical aspects of the discovery. He spent countless hours analyzing the crystal's resonant frequencies, mapping the complex harmonic patterns that continued to pulse through its molecular structure. He discovered that the crystal's vibrations followed mathematical sequences that shouldn't have been known to science in 1914. patterns that modern quantum physicists were only beginning to understand. The crystal sits now in a specially constructed containment unit in James's laboratory, still resonating with its otherworldly message. Sometimes, late at night, when the building is empty, James swears he can hear something else in those vibrations, not just the original message, but new sounds, as if something is still trying to communicate, still trying to come through. The restoration of the 1914 Seance photo had revealed far more than either researcher had bargained for. They had uncovered evidence of contact with something beyond human understanding, something that had been patiently broadcasting its presence for over a century. And now, finally, someone was listening,